I want to talk about large-scale engineering projects or changing environments, even as large as the moon or like changing the complete atmosphere of a planet, something like that, or terraforming. Well, I was watching Kaiser report, and Max and Stacy, they were talking about the environmental damage that's caused by emission of CO2, and there is a report that by 100 years from now the temperature will be 7 degrees higher, and they were just throwing their hands up in the air. We're just all gonna be dead, and I don't think we're gonna be dead. I think that when you let the world be run by financial gurus and analysts, and you don't use engineers, and you don't know the state of technology or technological capabilities, then you just throw your hands up in the air like they did and just give up. But many countries are using engineers to create wealth and also resolve big problems that they have. They don't use guns and they don't invade each other, or everything is not financialized. If you have a big problem, you still have to go back to the physics of it, to the math of it, to the engineering skills and the new discoveries that allow you to change things in a significant way. It's not hopeless. Well, I had a video about CO2, and I don't give up on the planet Earth like they did. I think that this gas is a resource that many plant life, cyanobacteria, use CO2 as food, and humans they have the technology and know-how to also utilize it to do what they want. Well, I talked about artificial photosynthesis, that you could use sun's energy and to absorb the CO2 and do what you want, or create fuel or whatever you want. But this, if you look at the solar system, we see all kinds of structures that are not natural. They're synthetic. Somebody or something constructed these things, and some of them are extremely large objects. For example, there is a lot of research shows that the moon is really a hollow structure, and it was told to be a satellite of Earth. And then it was also positioned so it would be, we could have total eclipses. Then you really had to fine-tune that to completely block the sun's ray. And I think it's like 400, the sun is 400 times away, and the moon, the size is kind of proportional, and somebody engineered this. It wasn't natural. Somebody made it. Some creature or some civilization created that. Then also there is a lot of research. I've seen some photos of Phobos, which is a moon of Mars. You can see it's artificial, and it's also hollow. So the constructing or changing things in a planet-wide scale is something that's very possible, and other species that have done that. Well, I know that there are large-scale projects that the humans have done. For example, the Suez Canal. That's a very long canal that human engineering created, or Panama Canal. That's not an easy project. Um, then I was reading some literature, really off Broadway literature, was talking about India and their problems that they have with the Ganges River, and I guess by the religion of Hindu, they some Hindus they place the dead on a raft or on a boat, and then they set fire to it, and the boat burns and then deposits the ashes into the ocean. By the time this raft reaches the Ganges and the ocean interface. But then the Indian government came around and they were very upset because the river was very polluted, and they passed laws to prevent this practice. So really the Hindus, they cannot do that anymore, but there is a lot of use of the water too for bathing and washing clothes, and this makes the water very dirty. But then an engineer was saying that they would be able to, with the use of very large pumps, and this technology is already very old, and we have it in Orange County and in other counties in the United States and probably in other countries, to divert the water using huge pumps and filter the water and then redeposit the water down the stream back into the ocean. So the capability of cleaning up after ourselves, even though we have been very polluting, very much ruining things, is totally possible, and I wouldn't give up on things. Well, with CO2 emissions, there are many ways of reabsorbing or using the excess CO2, and it's not something to throw your hands up in the air. I know that this stuff can be done with water and with the air, and this is also there was a project, it was called Super Dump, where the government allocated a lot of money to cleaning up. Excuse me, let me get the soda. I'm having a cotton mouth. Clean up the radioactive waste site, and they have done a good job, and it's possible. But I think that when I was looking at a lot of UFO or ancient alien kind of videos, that the reason these creatures or these aliens engaged in these large-scale projects was to preserve themselves, because their planet, or planet Earth, is susceptible to bombardment by asteroids. And also there is signs that there has been nuclear wars on Mars and on Earth too. But this is ancient, very old history. So this is not an impossible project, and also when civilization matures and the individuals that make up that civilization, they attain financial and personal prosperity, then there is a natural desire to preserve their own environment, and this kicks in a whole host of laws and norms and behaviors to prevent things from degrading. And another trend that will help us is that there's a lot of technology available there that we are currently not using, but looking at other civilizations that they used every bit of technology that they had. Like I was saying that there is the technology of pumps, very large pumps, and the Indians, they knew about it, but they weren't using it. They were just resorting to other methods. But then people can get very sophisticated, and usually governments, they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of money. The Indian government has a lot of money and resources, and they could engineer things differently. While in the United States, usually the Army's Corps of Engineers, they do a lot of big projects like building dams or building obstructions to flood or stuff like that. And these are not small projects; they're big projects. And the other thing that will help us is there is a lot of technology that the U.S. government has obtained, and this technology might have dual use, like for weapons and also for peaceful purposes, but it has been kind of warehoused, and if we let these technologies out, it could be a game changer, not only for the economy, but also for doing these big projects. A couple of years ago, I was looking into a movie, and it was, I think it was Brad Pitt, and there were these couple of scientists, and they found a way to upload this scientist's brain or personality or whatever, consciousness, up to the internet, and it has become even smarter because now it had complete access to the internet, and it showed at the end of the movie that it had created nanobots, and the nanobots were everywhere. They were cleaning all the waters, and but we don't know if nanobots could be used to clean up a lot of these messes, because they could be widespread and impact a lot of areas. But then, well, I should probably make another video about this other topic, but the use of public ledgers, like in blockchain and other technologies like smart contracts or Oracle, there's a few. It's a kind of like encoded or digital morality. It's like this encrypted system is like a gatekeeper, like a policeman, and it keeps track of contract that make sure all sides fulfill this contract. Or Oracle waits for a timeline and then collects information, makes sure that this contract is satisfied and nobody is cheating. But that's just like a brokerage house that issues shares, make sure everybody gets their dividend and keeps track of the shares. But then our age, this management, financial management, has been allocated to a system that's not human, but it's doing a much better job and make sure that nobody cheats. There is proof of work for generation of new currency, and but well, I would say that this is the expert system, or a gatekeeper, or a digital police that enforces the morality, and it got a few other resources besides the courts, and that's a form of morality. Well, in Hollywood, the depicts AI as always evil, always very bad, always does something very criminal, very unforgiving. But in reality, the humans are almost always to blame. They're always the real criminals, and they short circuit any kind of laws or regulations, and they divert resources to particular use. But what if these expert systems that that are able now to do all this management, they take over in many industries? What if you don't need a brokerage? What if you don't need like an attorney to make sure that contracts are fulfilled and every side is paid right amount? What if many systems that are really part of the social fabric, and also they get legitimacy from the courts or common law or case law, what if they migrate into the internet and they also become a protocol? And what if you don't need a lot of these institutions and they kind of wither away and die, and you're left with this digital morality, or digital police, or digital judge, or arbitration that's encoded into a just digital landscape? I know that the human culture, there is always this mistrust of people who are like different, or they're smarter, or they're more resourceful, or the rich. The society looks at them with disdain and with a little fear what this person might do. But it's not usually the truth. Well, I can't talk about the bourgeoisie. I also think they're evil, but people who are more intelligent, or AI that could be more intelligent than humans, that isn't going to be necessarily more immoral than the humans. I think humans are the most immoral, and they do a lot of stupid things. AI, it could be rigged to adhere to very strict moral code, and it could be rigged to prevent it from committing heinous act. I mean, it would be a lot easier to program AI to be right than to reprogram a lot of humans. I have a lot of experience with my ex, so I can speak from the heart. Well, these two topics of encoded morality and large-scale engineering, they're just kind of not very close topics, but they kind of come up together sometimes. Anyhow, thank you for being in my YouTube channel, in my Facebook, and please subscribe, leave comments, don't be shy. I value your input, and have a nice day.